more coming off a 5-goal outburst in a win against Loyola last week. Good news for Virginia. Their starting goalie, Alex Rode, is back. He was unavailable the last 2 games. Returned to practice on Wednesday. He'll play for the first time since the season opener against Towson. And on the flip side, Drake Porter in net for the Orange. Syracuse coming off a loss to Army last week. Porter didn't play great in that game. The defense certainly didn't help. But the last 2 years, he had the highest save percentage in the ACC. Arguably the best goalie in the country. The Cuse trying to rebound from an 18-11 defeat in their first game. Virginia with 3 goals under their belt. John Desko, the Hall of Famer, was telling us this is a team that he feels will be playing catch-up for a few weeks. He said they need a little bit more game experience. That showed a week ago, while Lars Tiffany's team 3-0, a hard-fought road win last week against Loyola. And for Lars, this is homecoming. He's a Central New York native. Family's got a restaurant in town. He grew up about 10 minutes from the Carrier Dome and was a big Syracuse fan as a kid. We're set for the opening face-off. Jacob Thaup for Syracuse, 37 in white, and Petey LaSala, 23 in blue for Virginia. LaSala has won 73% of his draws, #1 in Division I here in the early going. And Thaup wins the first face-off for Syracuse. The Orange last week got off to a great start. Led Army 6-1, and then the Black Knights outscored the Orange 16-5 from quarters 2, 3, and 4. And that's an early turnover by Syracuse. Sloppy play and unforced error.
That's a tough break, Anish, for the Orange, because beating Petey LaSala is a daunting task in 2021. Just a basic exchange. You want to see Trimboli and Curry get into a groove, a lot like Dordevic did a week ago. The best midfield in college lacrosse, the basic transfer to no avail.
Baldwinsville, New York native Charlie Bertrand, 41 in blue. Hasn't played in this building since his high school state championship. Part of that first midfield with Connor Schellenberger and Xander Dixon getting the start. Here's Peyton Cormier, whips it wide. And Matt Moore will get his first touch. 5 in blue, authored the lone 40-40 season in school history 2 years ago. Beats his man, Moore on the doorstep, turned away. Laviano on the rebound, a save by Porter, and it comes to Syracuse and Brendan Curry. First midfield for the Orange, familiar faces. Dordevic, Curry, and Trimboli, as good of a midfield line as there is in Division I. Chase Scanlon, 22 in white. Syracuse's leading scorer last year, but he struggled in the opener, just 1 of 9. Second midfield now on there for the Orange. Quinn, Siebold, and Buttermore. Rafis against Kyle Kaloji. Syracuse plays it to X. Siebold. Now Rafis has his man hung up. Rode gets back in the cage. Quinn with a good look, time and room, and he gets Syracuse on the board first.
We talk so much about Tucker Dordevic being two-handed. Well, the next best two-handed midfielder on the Syracuse team is Lucas Quinn. He's a natural righty, loves to sweep with his left hand. There, just with an old-school bouncer, caught Rode a little off guard. And Anish, the biggest thing about Rode right now is he's coming back, didn't have a full week of practice, hasn't played the last few weeks. Getting into game rhythm will be critical for a goalie who's battle-tested.
Alex Rode, the most outstanding player of that 2019 NCAA tournament run. 31 saves during championship weekend. And a face-off violation against Virginia. Here comes Scanlon bullying his way in. That one hit Rode. And it's picked up by Jack Peel. Park, what are your keys for Virginia?
Give me some more of more. Matt Moore, I think, is a top 5 player in college lacrosse, and he can put on a show in terms of the way that he conducts this offense and then support the defensive midfield. Syracuse has that top midfield in the country. You know they are going to attack Virginia's defensive midfield all night long. The rest of the defense has to support with some quick slides and help.
One lineup change for Syracuse. Owen Hiltz, the freshman, getting the start on attack, 77 in white, in place of Griffin Cook. Scanlon, and that one beats Rode. You're right about the rust. Alex Rode was not ready for that. That was one that he knows he had to have.
Look, it's one thing when you go back to practice and you think, okay, I practiced for 3 days and I got some good warm-ups. Live bullets are totally different. Both of these goals by Syracuse, Rode is going to look at the tape and he's going to say, I should have saved those. The Scanlon one, it almost looked like a changeup.
And the old Bugs Bunny changeup. Bobby Gavin, the freshman goalie, had started the last 2 games for Virginia. And Lars Tiffany, when we talked to him on Wednesday, he said he wasn't too worried about Rode not having game reps. He said if Rode was ready and available, he'd play. And maybe you treat that position differently than you would if it was an attackman or a midfielder who couldn't practice for 2 weeks.
Well, you also treat it differently when that guy who's coming back and says, I'm ready, was the MVP of the national championship weekend in 2019. So he earns that right to say, I'm ready. But regardless, just not seeing those live bullets, it's a different beast.
Porter is there for another save. It comes to Cormier, new 80-second shot clock. Schellenberger with a great pass. Here's Cormier, too high. What do you like about 24 in blue?
Everything. He's a gamer, too. He reminds me of UNC's Chris Cloutier. I mean, their ability to just get shots with pressure on, and then Laviano, Anish, absolutely stings it.
We told you if you liked offense, this was the game. Laviano from Matt Moore. Few guys are better off ball than Ian Laviano. His 103rd career goal.
Well, in the open, we touched on Matt Moore and his dodging ability, and I said, watch him as a passer tonight, and that's what makes him so good. Kind of reminds me of the NBA star James Harden. When you have a guy that's such a slasher and so good in terms of getting to the rack, sometimes you don't understand how good of a passer he is. Harden's leading the NBA right now in assists. Matt Moore's had a 40-40 season, the only 40-40 season in UVA history in 2019 when they won the national championship. I just love his ability to get to the rack, but also in a split second understand where his best friend on the team, Ian Laviano, is.
Meanwhile, Virginia just picked up its second face-off violation. So one more and Syracuse will go man up for 30 seconds. Here comes Jacob Buttermore. He had a hat trick against UVA 2 years ago. Now Rafis matched up with Kaloji. Buttermore able to retrieve, marked by Soliday. Hughes moving it quickly on the doorstep. Hiltz and a big save by Rode. Big ground ball. Kaloji trying to vacuum. He can't. The ride by Scanlon. Kaloji lost his stick. And it's going to be Syracuse ball. Crease violation on Syracuse. Syracuse defensively anchored by Brett Kennedy, wearing number 11. That is the most prestigious number now on that defense. You've got Grant Murphy, Nick DiPietro as well. Here's Schellenberger with a rocket to the back of the net. The number 1 player coming out of high school 2 years ago. Virginia was so loaded, they redshirted him last year. First game in 2021, 7 points.
This is incredible, Anish. I mean, keep in mind, Connor Schellenberger is a right-handed player. You just see his ability to do everything offensively. He's the number 1 recruit in the country as an attackman. Virginia's too loaded right now. They have Matt Moore running that offense. They have Laviano as the off-ball guy. Cormier is the lefty. So what do you do with a guy like Schellenberger? Well, you put him on the midfield, a position that he hasn't played a ton of. He's played some, but he's so smart as a Dodger and as an offensive player. His awareness and his ability to see where the pressure's coming from, because he's always been a marked man. He is a breakout star.
There's a chance, unsettled for Virginia, and it's 3 straight for the Hoos. Peyton Cormier off the feed from Danny Parker.
You asked me what I liked about Peyton Cormier. Well, he's got ice in his veins. He's automatic when you give him some space, but Danny Parker, tremendous awareness to get that ground ball off the face. His head's up, and Parker's one of those two-way grinder midfielders that can make plays for you. And when you give it to Peyton Cormier in that spot, you almost say goal before he even shoots it.
It was 22-21, right, when you last played in this game?
Yes, and it was one of those games offensively that you had those stars, and I mentioned the Open, whether it was Rob Cavavit or Casey Powell for Syracuse or Knight and Watson. Just unbelievable talent, and you knew that when the offense had the ball, how was the defense going to stop them?
There's a little statistical nugget every week in the Syracuse game notes. The Orange have won 62 straight games when the opponent scores less than 10 goals. I don't think we're going to be needing that today. This game will be not so in the single digits. Virginia taking advantage here. It's Parker again, leading transition, and then he throws it away. Frantic pace early. I don't know, Paul, we might get to 40 goals the way this one started. Parker is down. Slow to get up for Virginia. Took a big hit. Parker limping off. Moore's got Curry trapped on defense. He'll work the short stick matchup. Moore drawing the slide, now on the switch, DiPietro. Peter Garno, he's got a quick first step. They've got Dordovic trapped on defense as well. Moore turns and fires high. He had a goal last week against Loyola, similar spot, no angle. And hit a jump shot. Charlie Bertrand makes it 4-2. The two-time Division II Player of the Year at Merrimack, who hails from right up the road in Baldwinsville.
Well, you got Peyton Cormier. He's one of the hefty lefties. The other one is Charlie Bertrand. When he gets ahead of steam, it is good night. The Cavs up 4-2 early on the Cuse.
The goal that launched a rivalry, 1994 semifinals. Then freshman, and not quite a legend yet, Michael Watson scoring the game winner in overtime to send Virginia to the championship game. Our pal Rick Beardsley, a little late getting back on defense. He took a shot at the other end. After that season, North Carolina dropped Syracuse from its schedule. No-brainer. The Orange added Virginia, and since the start of '95, they've played every year except for last year, and this has been the game to watch for a lacrosse fan, casual or otherwise.
Unequivocally, but that '94 game, that's when Virginia really arrived. It was year 2 for Don Starsia, and he had Michael Watson, the most celebrated recruit in his class as a freshman, hitting that shot. You knew Virginia was going to be good for a long time, and then in 1999, Starsia gets his first national championship. But the rivalry, the offense, the numbers, and how equal it's really been in terms of wins and goals and everything. It's actually laughable when you look at the breakdown and how close these games have been.
16 one-goal games, including the last 5. This is the 37th meeting all-time. Each team has won 18, and each team has scored 466 goals on the nose. And you said it too, it's not just how good the teams have been, stylistically so similar, up and down. It was fast break, unsettled, and then the star power on top of it. It's made this a must-watch every year. Four unanswered by Virginia tonight after Syracuse scored the first 2. Liam Ferris, the freshman, 20 in white, getting some run now on that second midfield. Quinn with his second goal. What did John Desko tell us leading up to the Army game? He said Lucas Quinn looked really, really good. And he talked a lot about Quinn, a second midfielder who's come up with a couple of goals today.
Lucas Quinn, when you think about what he's done in his career, he's ready to explode because he's kind of been on the periphery. But when you think of a recruiting class of Lucas Quinn and Tucker Dordevic and Brendan Curry, all guys in the same class, that's the highest recruit coming out of high school. He's a two-handed guy, but I think the bigger picture for Syracuse is if you can get some production from the second midfield and for the attack to be assertive, then you're not one-dimensional and asking Tucker Dordevic and Curry and Trimboli to do all the work.
Syracuse has now won 6 of the 8 faceoffs. Here's Aviles against that Valkyrian ride of Virginia. That's another matchup within the game. The Cavaliers have arguably the best ride in the country. Syracuse historically has been an elite clearing team, usually better than 90%. Through 3 games this year, opponents clearing at 67% against Virginia. Scanlon hits the side of the net. And to put some context on that, Paul, you want to be in the mid-80s clearing these days with the shot clock. Anything under 80 is considered below average. Virginia opponents are below 70. Schellenberger, look at the shake.
Hit the calf machine, 10. Big left, you there. Switch!
You heard that chirp, didn't you?
Yeah. They're telling Xander Dixon to hit the calf machine. But I'll tell you what, you saw Brett Kennedy create some havoc there in the middle of the field. 11 is their close defender this year. Yeah.
Dordevic amp-tracking through the defense, and a save by Rode.
You know, Nish, I was mentioning about Brett Kennedy. I think he's their most valuable defender but in space. I like him as a long stick midfielder, kind of making those types of plays that he did at the middle of the field. This year, they're asking him to play close defense, and as good as he can be as a close defender, he's better chasing guys down in the middle of the field.
They had him chasing Schellenberger there a moment ago. Doc Aiken into the game, 6 in blue. The highest scoring midfielder in the history of Virginia lacrosse. He spent the fall with Villanova, getting ready to play football. They didn't have a season in the fall and came back to Virginia for the spring for his 5th year. Here's Bertrand. Bertrand, top shelf. The face dodge, a little toe drag, and Charlie Bertrand has 2 in his homecoming.
This guy is going to be a big-time problem. Do you remember I just said Brett Kennedy is their best defender in space? Well, guess who Bertrand just absolutely took to the rack? Brett Kennedy, Syracuse's best defender. This is a guy who's coming from the Division II ranks, but he was the best player in that league, and he was accustomed to getting double-teamed every time he touched the ball. Now he's playing in an offense that has Doc Aiken next to him, the highest scorer in Virginia lacrosse history from the midfield position. You have Cormier, you have Moore, you have Laviano. Teams aren't going to slide as early to Bertrand, and he's going to make them pay.
He's getting shorties too now these days. Eyes as wide as the Sphinx. You're telling me I get a short stick? Syracuse now 7 of 9 at the faceoff X. This first midfield has been quiet for Syracuse, and the second midfield getting a lot of run early.
They are, and Coach John Desko knows he has some proven scorers in Jacob Buttermore. Seeing what Lucas Quinn is doing, but for me, it's about the attack. How assertive can this attack be to balance the offense for Syracuse?
There's Quinn, 2 goals already, whips it high. What did you not see from the attack last week?
Creating flow in the offense, demanding the ball, and balancing the offense in terms of, okay, as much as Tucker Dordovic is going off, at some point in time, the ball has to go through behind an X, and you have to have someone who's going to control the offense. We're seeing Rafis today controlling the ball a lot better than he did a week ago against Army, and now you have Hiltz in the lineup.
Rode turns that one away and secures it in the crease. Connors has it stick checked away. Buttermore out of the double team. Here comes Hiltz. Number 2 recruit coming out of high school. He'll play it back. Has the trailer. It's Kennedy. And Syracuse with the backup, or rather Virginia with the backup.
That's one that Kennedy is going to take 9 times out of 10. I'm okay with it. But you have to have some kind of backup if you're Syracuse. Right there is Chase Scanlon's responsibility to make sure the backup is there to keep possession and not give this Virginia offense yet another look. Because you look at what they have in terms of the pieces. Honestly, how do you match up against this group? There is no formula in regards to defending this unit, because the guy right now with the ball, he's hardly played in the first 3 games. And he's only the best scoring midfielder in Virginia history. So once he gets accustomed to playing again, it's lights out.
And he's got a short stick right now. Help coming from Wyckoff, the Gettysburg transfer. Cormier, the Oakville Ox, feeding the wing. Aiken. Almost a takeaway there by Wyckoff. 3-time Division III All-American. Moore, separation, and a save by Porter. Murphy closest to the ball where it went out. Syracuse has it with 70 seconds.
Porter's making some stops. Not his best outing a week ago against Army. You knew he'd rebound, though. He's just a goalie that has the demeanor in terms of not getting too high, not getting too low. And he's had so many big games for Cuse. He's been the strength on that side of the field for Cuse the last 2 seasons. And Drake
Best
Porter
goalie.
is making big saves.
Best goalie in Division I, arguably, and certainly the best they've had since John Galloway. Rafus missing wide. Hiltz the backup. 34 seconds. Who does Owen Hiltz remind you of?
Jeff T from Cornell, who was back for his 5th year, but the Ivy League obviously not playing. Just their ability to get those quick passes off with the flick of the wrist, and also uses his body extremely well. Watch 77 in white.
Curry's got the shorty toward the cage. The ball goes in. Does it count? It does.
If you look at the Syracuse midfield, Dordovic is the showstopper. Curry is the glue, does everything. And you see that he tiptoes, ball crosses the plane, doesn't land in the goal mouth, puts his foot in the crease after the ball crosses that plane, and Brendan Curry, elite speed, one of the fastest midfielders in college lacrosse, but he'll play both ends for the Orange as well, and he's so smooth and so smart. You see him attack from up top, but that time, attacking from the wing, understanding he has the matchup, and he's faster than his defender.
Final 10 seconds. Connors, the All-American, has it. 28 in blue. He's a threat to score. 3 seconds. 2 seconds. And quarter number 1 comes to a frantic end. Both teams combining for 9 goals and 28 shots in the opening 15 minutes, Kark. Lucas Quinn, a couple for Syracuse. Virginia getting 5 goals from 4 different players. 5-4, Who's? ACC Wrestling Championship from Jim Valvano Arena at Reynolds Coliseum on the campus of NC State. The 2-hour coverage of the finals begins at 7 p.m. Eastern. Quint is going to be all over that. Quint is going to be glued to the wrestling championships tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I listened to him last week. He did a match between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State in Bedlam, and he was fantastic on that call, man. He had me engaged and learning a ton about wrestling. He was a high school wrestler. He was a nose guard too. Quint Kesnick, high school wrestler, nose guard, goalie. What does that tell you? Screw loose.
More than one. And Jacob Fopp taking this faceoff for Syracuse with a wrestling background. And Fopp has dominated the X, but we get a whistle.
Looked like the ball got caught in Fopp's stick. Can't withhold the ball there. Virginia gets another look offensively, and it looks like they've made that change where Kennedy is playing in space and playing long stick midfield. He'll get some transition opportunities for Cuse.
Cormier looking for that roll. He's got Peter Dirth on him. 9 in white, one of the best short stick D-middies in the country. Now Matt Moore feeding the wing, turned away by Porter. That one off the cross of Laviano.
See the anticipation of Moore as a Dodger there. His head is always up, surveying the field. He knows how slick Laviano is off ball.
DiPietro trying to stay with Schellenberger. Back to Moore. Too high, Bertrand the backup. We're seeing a lot of Mitch Wyckoff, grad transfer out of Division III Gettysburg. There's Charlie Bertrand, a Division II transfer out of Merrimack, which is now a Division I school, but not when Bertrand played. Jeff Connor getting some run, 4 in blue. There's Schellenberger. And it belongs to Syracuse.
Good defense, and we talk a lot about the Syracuse offensive midfielders. I love their defensive midfield. Athletes like Dearth right now in the middle of the field, 6'2", 215 pounds.
And Syracuse able to get it over against that Virginia ride.
Hey, switch right, good.
Curry to Dordovic. 4 goals in the opener. It skirts wide.
So Virginia right now, heightened awareness against the Syracuse midfield. So you're going to pull Dordovic. You're going to try to pull Curry. Well, who has a short stick? You only have 4 pulls out there. You got 2 shorties. Chase Scanlon has one of them.
Hiltz against Bauer. Skip pass to Curry. He's got a short stick and Soliday. Behind Arefus. Hiltz, saved by Rode. Curry on the rebound. Low shot, another save. And this one corralled by Scott Bauer, the freshman. Bauer, the sophomore out of Dallas, Texas. And now the Cuse ride shows its mettle. Scanlon forcing the turnover.
A little more pep in their step than last week in terms of wanting to get the ball back. I think the questions on the Syracuse attack, well, it's not all about just scoring goals and making your presence felt from a dodging perspective. Get after it on the ride. Everyone's talking about Virginia's ride. If I'm a Syracuse attackman right now, I'm taking that as a challenge and saying, well, you guys think you could ride? Well, Scanlon's made some huge plays riding tonight.
Curry hit the crossbar. It'll stay with Syracuse, and to your point, Kark, Virginia's only 4 of 7 clearing. Dordovic steps into it. His 5th goal of the season and his 1st of the night, ties it at 5.
I'll tell you what I like about the Syracuse offense right now. 9 different shooters in the first quarter. One of them was Dordovic. He just gets his 1st of the night, plants his feet, lets it rip. When you watch the tape on Dordovic, when he's moving right or left, he's equal in terms of his ability to shoot on the run with his feet moving. When he has time and room, he's planting his feet, and he's got that giddy up with the right-hand laser, moving at about 90 miles per hour.
Lasala had the ground ball. It's kicked back. And now Virginia across the midfield line. You've got 20 seconds. Once that shot clock hits 80 to get it across midfield. And you can go over and back in the first 20 seconds.
You know, Anish, I'm looking at this Syracuse defense. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw some zone defense out of them tonight in terms of just slowing down the Dodgers from Virginia.
Cormier's pass for Aiken results in a turnover. With the shooters both teams have. Going to zone, though, does give you a little pause, doesn't it?
Lets you take your breath. And the bigger issue, I think, for Syracuse is the versatility of the Virginia Dodgers. It's not as easy as, oh, let's put one of the 4 long poles on this guy, or we need to short stick player 5 or 6. It's really hard to make that decision against Virginia. Against Syracuse, when Virginia's on defense, it's a little bit easier. You know who the known playmakers and guys who could beat you off the dribble.
Seabold inside roll, and he gives Syracuse the lead at 6-5.
You had a feeling John Desko knew something about this second midfield. Lucas Quinn with 2 goals. on the evening. And then Owen Seabold, who played all attack his entire career. Now he's the change of pace guy. He's that sixth option offensively, and the third option from the midfield standpoint. That gives you a totally different look. Everyone else on that midfield are like the alpha type midfielders, guys who love to go to the rack, love to dodge. Now you take a guy like Owen Seabold, who's played attack his whole life, and you put him behind the cage against a short stick, and he feasts in terms of just how uncomfortable that defender is, putting pressure on Seabold around goal line extended.
Seabold, a Dallas, Texas kid, Highland Park. Went to the same high school as Matthew Stafford and Clayton Kershaw. And here's Landon Clary, a redshirt freshman out of North Carolina. Orange winning the battle at X. They've won 8 of 13 face-offs. Curry controlling. He's got a goal and an assist.
I like both of these guys at the face-off X down the stretch with Petey LaSala and Jacob Fopp. Their ability to scrap and go after 50-50 ground balls. LaSala, a phenomenal high school running back, low center of gravity. Fopp, the wrestler.
On the doorstep, Trimboli, Syracuse's highest scoring midfielder the last 2 years.
You're seeing balance now. Against Army, everything was in front of the goal. Dodging midfielders. Now the attack is making its presence felt. Whether it's shifting midfielders down there or putting their traditional attack guys like Rafis to run the offense, but that time Brendan Curry goes behind. There's your balance. That's what you need if you're Syracuse, because if you're going to be predictable and just dodge from up top with Dordovic, Curry, and Trimboli, it's going to be tough sailing. Now you're seeing so many different angles in terms of the way they're attacking.
A 4-0 Syracuse run after Virginia went on a 5-1 blitz. Bodies flying, loose ball push, and it's against Virginia. Lucas Quinn, 2 goals from that second midfield. We see Liam Ferris, freshman from Bethlehem, New York, 20 in white. He and Seabold are rotating in on that second midfield with Quinn and Buttermore as the constants.
They like Ferris. He's a big body, can play with pressure on his hips and in his hands. He'll go to the rack, and this is what I like about the Syracuse offense right now, balancing it.
Ferris hits the pipe, scooped up by Kaloji. Syracuse ride has been dynamic so far. Virginia just 5 of 8 in clearing. Merle, that one batted down, big ground ball, middle of the field, vacuumed by Dirth. An unsettled chance perhaps for Syracuse. They'll hit the pedal. Flag down. I think Virginia might have too many men on the field. Here's Hilt, saved by Rode, and Syracuse will go man up. First DMO opportunity for either team.
Hey, you focus on us. I'm focusing on you.
Technical foul, 5 blue. Push, 30 seconds. 5 blue, push, 30.
More, you're out.
A push with possession on Matt Moore, so Syracuse man up for 30 seconds.
Right side of the screen. It looked like Dirth was just getting ready to get rid of that ball. Now the Syracuse extra man. Well, you got to watch 77 in white with some nasty skip passes And then Trimboli, 12 in white, who's got a laser from downtown.
Hughes 5 of 12 with the extra man last year. Dordovic shot altered. Virginia's man down defense has been very good so far. Opponents only 3 of 13. The Hoos with wins against Towson, Army, and Loyola. Loyola and Army picked 1-2 in the Patriot League, and Army beat Syracuse by 7 last week. Even strength Curry will isolate Fox. Rather Soliday. Curry's been dangerous from back there. Wraps around, that one rattles, but it does not stay in.
I thought Curry could have taken an extra step there. Had the speed dodge on Soliday, and it didn't look like Virginia was pressing too much to help in terms of his low angle. Rowe just stood his ground, and Rowe is starting to get a little bit more comfortable in terms of just his overall feel. Shaky start, took the last 2 weeks off. He's back, he's ready. Mentally, you can be ready. You could have all the reps in the world. Physically, it's going to take some time.
The good thing for Rowe in a game like this, you're going to see shots.
Oh, yeah.
Here comes Cormier. Cormier with the empty move. I tell you, he uses that cross like a paintbrush.
I mentioned earlier, if you like Cormier, he probably reminds you of National Championship MVP in 2016 from North Carolina, fellow Canadian Chris Cloutier. Well, Cormier is a star in the making.
Lars Tiffany told us it's a little different this year. Coming back to Central New York feels like a business trip, but this is home for him. Grew up in Lafayette, New York, just 10 minutes from the Carrier Dome, a big Syracuse fan. Grew up on a buffalo farm. In fact, he used to take care of the buffaloes, and then when they would go to slaughter, he'd get sad. That's why he's a vegetarian. Played for Dom Starsia, of course, at Brown, but the Central New York roots run deep. He was an assistant coach for the Lemoyne women's team, and his family owns the Scotch and Sirloin, a restaurant right on Erie Boulevard. We were asking John Desko, hey, did you know Lars when he grew up in Central New York? And John said, no, not really, but I'm very familiar with his family's restaurant.
Oh, of course. Coach D loves to go out and eat and have a nice meal, but Lars Tiffany is tremendous, and you saw that Syracuse photo of him with the 44 jersey. You got to give him a free pass. It's his hometown, and he's proud to be from Central New York and loves coming to the Dome.
Saved by Porter on the shot by Connors, and on the rebound, Virginia ties it at 7.
So here's the deal. You have all these unbelievable dodgers and guys like Connors who could sling it from downtown. You need some pieces in terms of dirty work type players, and Ian Laviano is just that. This guy has scored over 100 goals in his career at Virginia, had over 50, led the ACC in 2019. And he's the perfect complement to all of these guys. You don't want another Dodger on this offense, to be quite honest with you, Anish. You need some pieces to the puzzle, and Laviano, he's an unbelievable rider. He picks up any type of garbage on the turf like you saw just now. But more importantly, he knows his role too off ball. He's so crafty in terms of finding those seams.
We'll hear from him at halftime as Bertrand streaks toward the cage. You sat down with Ian this past week for the newest Relaxin' with Peacock, and I won't spoil it, no spoilers, but the one takeaway from that was we need to get Laviano with Quint Kesnick. Just some fashion consulting, I think, would be helpful.
Yes, Ian's big time into fashion, and his older sister owns a women's boutique in Southampton, New York on Long Island. Ian's into art. He's a very interesting young man, and I had a fantastic time last week in terms of taping it, but the conversations offline too, just connected with him, and he's fabulous.
Failed clear by Syracuse after the great pickoff by Wyckoff. Mitch Wyckoff had 9 goals in 2019 as a defenseman. That was for Gettysburg. Griffin Harris, here comes the slide. Schellenberger on the crease. Porter stonewalls him. In a game like this, the goalies are going to have to steal some.
Yeah.
Now Dirth. MacGyver's out of trouble. Now that's the benefit of Peter Dirth, a one-man punt return clear. Women's basketball doubleheader tomorrow. The Syracuse women will take on NC State, number 2 team in the country. And one of the favorites to win it all this year. Griffin Cook back on attack. He did not start today after starting last week. Jacob Buttermore, 3 goals against Virginia 2 years ago. Plays it to the wing. Knocked down, a lot of contact. Soliday was down, he got mauled. And it's going to be a Virginia ball. That'll be Syracuse ball, excuse me.
Yeah, I think they called a withholding on Soliday when he was down on the turf.
Now they seem to be picking on 32 when they can. And Siebold with his second.
Siebold is a big body. And his first goal, he goes to the rack on the right side from behind. All right, you're gonna play me as a dominant righty? Well, guess what? I'm gonna smoke you with my left hand. He shows you some versatility, and again, I cannot emphasize enough tonight that Syracuse is having success because of the versatile approach they have to the way they're creating offense. If you turn on the Army tape, you rarely saw the ball go from behind and through X. Now it's almost every single possession, and what that's going to do later in this game, it's going to give better dodging opportunities for that vaunted midfield with Trimboli, Dordovic, and Curry. Mark my words, those guys then will have a way looser area in terms of the way they break down the Virginia defense later in this game because of Syracuse's ability to attack from behind.
And Clark, we're seeing it doesn't necessarily have to be just your ex-attackman. It's been Siebold on the invert. We've seen Curry take his man behind the cage as well.
Precisely. It's not about attack initiation or presence having to be from your traditional attackmen, Cook and Hiltz and Rafis. No, just give me offense from there. And they're doing it with so many different pieces. Curry made a great pass to Trimboli. 2 inverts by Owen Siebold. Just give me that kind of offense. It doesn't matter who the person is.
Well, this time it's Curry attacking from X. Now gives it up to Rafis. Kaloji, who's been one of the great developmental success stories for Lars Tiffany. 16 in blue is checking Rafis. Curry's shot misses. How about Kyle Kaloji, who was a walk-on at Virginia, originally headed to Cal to play club lacrosse. They liked his lacrosse IQ. He was the crease defender when he first started out. He has now become the #1 defender on what is a bona fide championship contender. We get a timeout from Virginia, and we head into the vault, Kark. This series, this rivalry, since 1995, since really the '94 semifinal with Michael Watson, has been defined by great finishes. This was the first one in '94. Watson sending Virginia to the title game.
Indeed, and then Roy Simmons Jr. wanted to get Virginia on the regular season schedule every single year, and Connor Gill delivers Dom Starge's first national championship in '99. Cuse returns the favor. That was Tom Hardy with the winner in the semifinals. Then Mike Lavelle in 2008. This was one of the biggest goals, I think, in Syracuse history. It was the national semifinals, but people have to remember, 2007 was one of the tougher years for Syracuse lacrosse. They had a losing season. They didn't go to the playoffs. This is coming off of 22 straight Final Fours and national championships out the gazoo. 2007, it looked like dark days were going to happen in terms of Syracuse. Lavelle puts his stamp on it. They win it in 2008. They win it in 2009. And Desco has 5 national championships in his back pocket.
08, that was the year, I believe it was 3 straight one-goal wins, right? All the way to the championship.
Oh, yeah. And when you think of this rivalry, that Watson goal was so big in '94 because Syracuse played Carolina in the regular season every single year up until '94. Syracuse gets dropped by Carolina. They need a game. Well, who's the game going to be? Well, when Syracuse loses in '94 to Watson and the Cavaliers, well, you put Virginia in that schedule, and it hasn't changed now for 25 plus years, and it's been the game in lacrosse.
Tell the folks why Carolina dropped Syracuse.
Well, to be quite honest with you, Syracuse in '94, there was some excessive showboating in terms of the goal celebrations, and Carolina didn't like it. At the time, Coach Dave Klarman didn't like it. I think he refused to play Syracuse in the regular season again, and the rest is history. In Klarman and Carolina's defense, because that was my freshman year, I will say I understand where he is coming from.
Somewhere, our friend Rick Beardsley is watching and wears what you just said like a badge of honor. More against Wyckoff. Bertrand looking for the hat trick. His shot altered. DiPietro defended it well. This one hit the pipe for more. Virginia will keep it. The last 5 in this matchup have been decided by 1 goal. A 1-goal game in the final minute of the first half. More against Wyckoff. Saved by Porter. He forced it. Porter with a bullet pass to Curry. Quickly ahead, Hiltz to the wing. Rafis! That's how you break the ride.
You break it with athletes, quick passing, and lacrosse players with incredible IQ. Porter is the seasoned netminder. He knows we can't let them set up in this ride. It's too much trouble. But the pass by Hiltz for a freshman, 77 in white. Just the awareness. He understands, I get this ball in transition, my head is up, I see Rafis on the back end. That is how you break the ride. If you wait another 2 or 3 seconds, Anish, you allow them to get in their base ride, it could be lights out for you. You got to strike fast.
That's what John Desco told us, and Virginia commits its 3rd face-off violation of the half. So Syracuse will be man up.
Foul, 23 blue. Illegal procedure, 3rd face-off violation, 30 seconds. 32 blue, illegal procedure, 3rd violation, 30 seconds.
So that's the 3rd violation. Every violation after the 3rd is 30 seconds, but this is at a unique time in the 2nd quarter, because if Syracuse wants to hold the ball at the end of the 2nd quarter, they'll have the ball to begin the 3rd quarter. Now, it's only a 30-second penalty, so I would assume that Syracuse is going to attack potentially pretty quickly in this extra man opportunity, and then as you get to like the 10-second stage, Anish, don't be surprised if they hold on to the ball.
If you score early, you want the 6-on-5, and if it's not there, you'll take possession, likely even strength after the first few seconds of the 3rd quarter. ACC Winter Championships, it's a best of women's swimming and diving Monday at 8 p.m. The fencing championship next Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Indoor track and field next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And for Virginia, the good news is those 3 face-off violations, they're wiped out, so you start the third quarter with a fresh slate. So it only is aggregated for a half. Coming up at the half, relaxing with Virginia's Ian Laviano, a fashionista, an artist. We get to know one of the best off-ball finishers in college lacrosse as he sits down with Kark.
There.
And also,
Look at
you know what he's got? Maybe some of the best goal celebrations in college lacrosse.
I would agree with you. I would agree. He's full of life. It's right on the line. I don't think it's too much. It's not Syracuse 1994. It's not going to have a program drop Virginia because of Laviano celebrations. He's okay. Keep doing your thing, Ian.
So a man up for the Orange. Dordovic plays it to the wing. Hiltz now. Dordovic was cranking with that right hand. Just didn't have the ball. Okay, 10 seconds now. Orange looked to be in attack mode. Dordovic dropped it. Loose ball, it's on the turf. And Virginia's got it, and that's big because now there will be a face-off to begin the third quarter. A rivalry that's been defined by excitement and offense. We got that in the first half. 32 shots by the Orange, 23 by Virginia. Syracuse on top, 9-7.
And he shot low. That time using some deception and the quick wrists. He needs no time to get a pass off or a shot. That's why when you ask me who does he remind me of, Jeff Teat. The wrists are magical with 77 in white.
Cuse now 12 of 19 at the faceoff X. Largest lead by any team tonight, 10-7. First midfield on for Syracuse. Curry, 16 in white. Trimboli, 12. Dordovic, 23. Sawstead, Bauer, and Kaloji, the close defense for Virginia. Back to X, here's Rafus. Dordovic gets past Sawstead. And now it's Curry against Soliday. Rafus has his man hung up. Scanlon's got the shorty. Fox. Don't see 22 with the shorty too often. Shot clock at 10. Curry against Soliday. They've picked on him a lot today. Dordovic, he can go to either hand. Here's Hiltz. 2 seconds on the shot clock, and Syracuse will probably roll it into the corner. That just the second turnover in the last 23 minutes for Syracuse, going up against what is a pressure defense from Virginia. And now the Syracuse ride. Bertrand able to break it. That's been a weapon today.
It's a pressure defense from Virginia, but it's a defense that's not sliding too quickly, Anish. So if you're a ball-carrying playmaker for the Orange, you have some confidence. If you find that matchup, you can go for a spin. Virginia's not sliding too quickly, nor is Syracuse. This is Dodgers' delight.
Mano a mano. Bertrand against Kennedy. Now Moore. Picked up by Wyckoff. Bertrand, a couple of goals. Shoots low, save Porter. It'll stay with Virginia. Schellenberger closest to the ball where it went out off of the shot.
And I'm looking right now, Anish, at this Syracuse defense. I'm going to slide and support quickly outside of 5 in blue. He's the guy that could feed as well.
Aiken saves it. Gets the pick from Laviano, who's open. Laviano calling for it. Aiken doesn't see him. There's the double. Bertrand draws the slide. Aiken. Nice defense by Durth. Moore to Schellenberger. Shoots and scores. 2 for Schellenberger. It's 10-8.
The initial breakdown of the defense happens a couple passes ago, but Virginia is so smart in terms of understanding ball rotation. And when Syracuse decided to slide to support the one-on-one matchups, which I think they need to do, because you got guys like Bertrand who are going to the cage and haven't shown you a ton of passing. But then if Virginia can counter and understand that the first pass isn't going to break this defense down, but 4 and 5, that was magical ball movement there. And Schellenberger, when he gets his feet set, righty or left-handed, he can sling it.
And that's the adjustment that Lars Tiffany makes. Because in that first half, Virginia only had 2 assisted goals. I thought the new face-off rules were supposed to get with a stalemate at X. An early whistle a lot when that happens, not that time, and Syracuse wins another draw. That's 13 out of 20.
We have some technical difficulties with Anish Shroff, but we're not going anywhere because this game is off the charts. Stephen Rafis got the memo. Where was the attack in week 1? Well, it's here in week 2. We saw Owen Hiltz, and look at the placement there. Traditionally, when a guy gets around goal line extended and has his stick low, he's shooting low. He changes the level, and he absolutely puts it in the top shelf. The face-offs have been heavily favored by Syracuse in this first half. Now that we're in the second half, Virginia makes some adjustments. You don't have to worry right now if you're Virginia in regards to any type of violation. It's a clean slate. Grip and rip and get after it, but Fopp has the answer. You talk so much about the offensive midfielders for Syracuse. It's guys like Brendan Aviles and Peter Durth who could play the wings and give you offensive opportunities for this vaunted first midfield. You won't see it in the stats with guys like Durth and Aviles, but their athleticism and their ability to play wings and strike in transition and give extra opportunities for the Syracuse offense. Hear the sound of the pipe. Last week against Army, Tucker Dordevic hit the pipe 3 times. When 23 in white has the ball, he's a showstopper. The ability to break any defender in the country down. Curry with the ball, around goal line extended. Heads up play by the Virginia defense. Sticks in the middle. Cavs are clearing. Cormier in transition. Porter once again with a brilliant stop. You see Owen Hiltz, the freshman, telling him, slow it down. Let's get a possession here. Curry says, not so fast. It's Syracuse, Virginia. Slow ball does not exist. The freshman calls off the offense. The senior Curry says, I'm going to have a corner. Scanlon sees Curry, and Curry has stepped up huge after a quiet first outing against Army. We've got Anish Shroff back. Thank you, Anish. I'm not a play-by-play guy. I'm not made for this. Come on. Get back on the saddle. Let's go.
My video was lagging. It was buffering like it's 1997 internet over here.
Don't do that to me again, man. I missed you.
Quint left me hanging for about a quarter a couple of weeks ago.
We lost Anish again.
Yeah, the video, Kark, I can't really see it, so.
We got a flag down, and once again, the midfielders from Syracuse doing some dirty work on the wings. It was Aviles, now it's Dearth, and a free play for the Orange. Rafis behind, surveying the defense. He's got the goalie, Road, hung up, and a free play to boot.
$12-8 Syracuse, and now we get the penalty. Finally back in high definition, Kark.
Are you really back, or you're pulling that like Jersey Fugazi stuff?
I was trying to call it off of what looked to be standard definition, and then it got really blurry, and I said, all right, let's see if they can fix this. Hey, that's broadcasting in 2021. Roll with the punches, and I got a good wingman.
Yeah, you see the easy call on the hold for Virginia. This isn't the type of game. Now, you look at 12-8, you're like, wow, Syracuse has man up and the advantage, 4-goal lead. Virginia's not sweating right now.
Well, they might be sweating a little more now. Dordovic clanks one in. It's a 5-goal lead for the Orange, their largest of the game.
We talk about Dordovic, and he plants his foot and dodges as well as any midfielder in college lacrosse. But when he has time and room, when you talk to Drake Porter like I have and ask him the question, who's the most feared shooter on the team when he's staring you down in practice, he doesn't hesitate for a second. It's Tucker Dordovic, Portland, Oregon. The sophomore, he's had some injuries in his career, but Anish, when he is healthy, he is an absolute joy to watch because of how athletic he is, how hard he works, and the playmaking ability.
Jacob Falk has dominated now 2 weeks in a row with the face-off X. Looks like a different team than we saw a week ago. The Orange against Army led 6-1 at one point, 6-2 after the first quarter. Army ends up winning by 7. A whistle against Syracuse, so Virginia gets it. A couple of things if Virginia's going to get back into this game. One, they've got to be better clearing, and two, they got to start winning some faceoffs.
Syracuse's ride has looked like Virginia's ride. Virginia gets this free opportunity off a moving pick from Syracuse on the other end. But I'm anxious to see what Leland Rogers does defensively here. Do you throw some zone and start mix and matching the defensive looks you're giving the Cavaliers so they don't get into a flow offensively, especially from a dodging perspective?
Moore against Wyckoff. Moore trying to shovel it behind his back. Porter comes away with it. Syracuse has done a really nice job on Matt Moore. Only 1 assist today, no goals.
Laviano got a call there, and Matt Moore is the conflict guy for Virginia because I think every other offensive player, that you're scouting defensively as we hear the call here, and I'll get back to my thought in just a second here, Anish.
Personal foul, 9 white, unnecessary, 1 minute. 9 white, unnecessary, 1.
Yeah, Dearth after Porter gets possession. He's got possession here. Dearth just with a little one more there, and Laviano, maybe a little flop action, but Anish, my thought here was Moore is the conflict guy because he's so equal as a dodger and a scorer. The rest of the guys you could kind of project dodger first, passer second.
This is Virginia's 4th game, just their 5th man-up opportunity of the season. Moore trying to go low to high. Schellenberger feeding the crease, and it's Laviano who's got a hat trick. The relaxing with Peacock jinx not in effect tonight.
Well, look, you can have all these snipers and guys on the perimeter. The crafty senior Laviano, over 100 goals in his career. Turn your back, he'll make you pay.
(13-9), Syracuse on top of Virginia. Laviano's goal on the man up for Virginia. Tucker Dordevic scored the last one for the Orange.
What makes him so successful is how unpredictable he is and how aggressive his plant foot is at the point of separation. You don't know if he's a righty or lefty. Well, Army plays him as a lefty to begin the game because he's a natural righty. Well, okay, now I'm going to toy on you. I score lefty, I'm going to go to my right, counter back with a hard, aggressive plant foot with the left hand. Well, guess what? At the end of the day, Dordevic drops it in the turf, now goes back to his strong right hand. When you look at the variety of dodges, the equal ability to go right or left, and how unpredictable he is, Anish, in terms of just playing off of instincts and the way that the defense and the support help is showing, Dordevic has figured it out in terms of being a playmaking midfielder.
Coached by the great Ryan Powell growing up. And this one comes to Lasella. Now Bauer. Bauer fires and scores. That's a juice goal. Those worth a little more. Scotty Bauer, the sophomore from Texas.
That's a juice goal, and it's also very difficult to track when a guy with a big 6-foot pole is coming down and staring you down. But regardless, Porter doesn't explode to the ball. Bauer has an opportunity to let that one rip. And as I mentioned, it's hard for a goalie to track a long pole shooting. But for the first time, I didn't see Porter react and explode to the ball and really be on target in terms of just how the offensive player, and in that case, the defensive player in Bauer, brings it down the offensive end. Porter didn't look like himself.
Bauer, a big-time recruit out of high school, and the defensive MVP on his football team at 20.5 sacks. Kennedy off the ground. Syracuse led by as many as 5. Virginia has responded with 2 straight.
You know, you talk about a guy like Bauer, 20.5 sacks. All these D guys were sick football players. Quentin Matsui was a great middle linebacker in the state of Minnesota, another defender for UVA, and Cade Sawstad out of the state of Texas playing football. These guys are dudes.
Rafus with his man hung up. Dordevic.
Wow.
How do you play him when you know he can get to either hand and he's so proficient with both hands?
You almost have to anticipate him getting the ball and not letting him get a running start on you. If he gets a running start on you, you're toast. You got to press out. When you're adjacent, be on his hands, and make him feel you the second he catches the ball so he doesn't get into his flow.
Scanlon fakes the pass, now over to Hiltz. The freshman out to Dordovic against Sawston. Dordovic shot saved by Rode. And Alex Rode able to cover that up. 12 saves for Rode. Tomorrow, the ACC Wrestling Championships from Raleigh. Our 2-hour coverage of the finals begins at 7 p.m. Eastern on ACC Network. There have not been a lot of moments in this game that allow you to catch your breath.
No, that's why you might want to play a little zone if you're Cuse. Catch your breath.
Bertrand looking for Laviano. And Syracuse has it. Dordovic threading the defense over to Trimboli. He's got help on the wings. Rode the denial. On the rebound, Dordovic cranks and scores! A hat trick for Dordovic, who's got 7 goals in 2 games now.
He's a star, people. It's that simple. A flat-out baller. You saw flashes in his freshman year. Injured sophomore year. Last year, burst on the scene. In that 4th and 5th game, you just knew he was ready to pop. Now, outside of Connor Kirst from Rutgers, no midfielder in college lacrosse has the skill set of Tucker Dordovic. We talk about him as a Dodger. If he gets a running start on you, you're gone, you're toast. But his outside shooting now, so when teams then decide to flash out on him and play him as a shooter, that's going to open up his dodging.
The knowns in this game have stepped up for Syracuse. Here's another one, Dirth. Over to Hiltz, top shelf. Right off the face-off, Owen Hiltz. His second, and it's 15-10.
This is a different Syracuse team. We called the game a week ago against Army. They didn't have a scrimmage. It was their first time playing together. They had a ton of experience in the past, but there were pieces, new pieces like Owen Hiltz. They put him in attack, his natural spot. He's not coming from the box playing midfield. Give this kid a full game and plays will be made.
You know, in the fall, Central New York clamored for Dino Babers and the football team to throw to the tight end. In the winter, they've been asking Jim Boeheim to play Kadari Richmond more. In the spring, they were going to clamor to see more of Owen Hiltz, but John Desko beat them to it. Hiltz got the start in game 2.
I told you about Owen Hiltz last year. Didn't have the highlights, but his high school coach, John Posner from Culver, used to send me clips because Owen didn't even have a highlight reel. So I was watching this kid play, and I was floored in terms of his wrists, his thread-like passes, and his quick lefty release when he slings it. The total package. I went on the record saying, I think he's the most talented freshman since Mikey Powell arrived on campus in 2001. I'm not saying he's going to be the best player since Mikey Powell at Syracuse, but he's the best freshman since Mikey Powell.
Buttermore to Rafis. Now that is high praise. He's made an impact today. Big save by Rode. Knocked into the air. That's going to be off of Virginia. It'll stay with Syracuse. Rafis to the wing. Rode has made some saves. He's got 16. Now can Virginia get it across against this ride? It looks like they will. Soliday hauls in the pass, in trouble. Laviano gets away from Kennedy. Virginia waiting for its personnel. Kark, the two guys have been really in the forefront of the press the last few years.
Well, when you look at Dox Aiken, he has the ball right here. He's been the man since his freshman year at UVA. Quiet in this outing. And the Syracuse defense plays him as a dodger and a scorer and dares him to feed with that slide. This is Kennedy's secret sauce. When you put him as a close defender, you take all these special plays out of his game. He roams the middle of the field. He creates havoc. He is not a close defender. He's a perimeter guy who gives you opportunities in transition. A lot like Jared Connors does for Virginia, Kennedy does that. He can ignite the offense from the defensive side. When he was playing close, they had no transition from Kennedy a week ago. Wyckoff has been big as well. So you put Kennedy up top and you let him roam the middle of the field. Well, Mitch Wyckoff battling some lower body injuries. This is his first game action after transferring from Gettysburg. He's been outstanding. Matt Moore has 1 assist in this game. And Mitch Wyckoff has been a big piece of the ability to defend one of the top 5 players in college lacrosse.
Syracuse can hold for 1. A 7-goal third quarter by the Orange. They've got their largest lead of the game at 16-10. Virginia led by 1 after 1. The Cuse led 9-7 at halftime. Curry against Peel. Scanlon to Dordovic. Dordovic's got 3. And taken away by Mitchell Whalen. They call him the Killer Whale.
Killer Whale just had a great timed slide. You got to support that Dordovic matchup.
And we go to quarter number 4. After losing by 7 to Army last week. Was it first game jitters? Was it not having the proper lead up to the season? Virginia came in with 3 games under its belt. The Cuse has flashed championship form today, up 16-10 as we head to stanza number 4. It is the first ACC lacrosse game of the season in a year in which there is more hype and buzz surrounding this conference. Superpowers everywhere you look. And Syracuse, the team that finished last year at number 1, leading the team that won it all in 2019, 16-10. Virginia can still come back into this game. It's a fast-paced game, but they need their 2 studs to be more productive. Matt Moore and Dox Aiken tonight, 0 goals. And Moore has just 1 assist.
Yeah, and when you think of Virginia over the last 4+ years, the 4th quarter has been Doc's time. So no better opportunity on the road. You're a 5th-year senior. Take your team on the back and rekindle some of that magic from the past.
Osala has had his lunch money taken today by Faub. Syracuse 21 of 29 on faceoffs. And Petey LaSala came into this game having won 73% of his draws, number 1 in the nation.
It's been a fantastic group effort by Syracuse winning those faceoffs. Guys like Dirth and Aviles have been absolute hoovers on the wings, gobbling up ground balls, and Virginia's known, always, ground balls, wing play. Well, guess what? Syracuse is dominating tonight, ground balls and wing play.
Roomba's Paul's 2021. Trimboli with a great move right on the doorstep.
Jamie Trimboli, in a 5-game sample last year, over 20 goals. He was an absolute force from the outside. Now you see him from the inside with such a slick move and an ability to feel that pressure, to catch, put the stick across his body, and shoot all in that same motion. That was gorgeous.
He's the 7th different Orange player with at least 2 goals tonight. It comes to Schellenberger. Accelerates, plays it back to Moore. Stopped by Porter. Porter gets rid of it quickly. Clary to Siebold. Numbers for Syracuse. Siebold feeding inside. Scan turned away by Rode. And Merle, the backup for Virginia.
Anish, I'm seeing 2 things that were critical after 3 quarters. Syracuse is blitzing with the clear. They're not giving Virginia any opportunity to set up that ride. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, I've never seen a team within a week change their offense so much in terms of where the offensive initiation is taking place. Syracuse is dominating below the cage in this game in terms of their offensive prowess.
And Porter with another stop. You hear it a lot in football when coaches will tell you the biggest improvement comes from week 1 to week 2. Syracuse back in Virginia really has not had much success early. Army did so much damage last week with its early offense. Meanwhile, Porter is stopping everything, looking like the All-American.
He's been fantastic. I think he had maybe 1 or 2 that he'd like back, but he's also stolen 5 or 6, and he's staring down these Virginia shooters. He's patient, and his ability to rebound after a tough start in week 1 like the rest of this Orange team. Now, watch where they attack here. Will the up top portion of this Syracuse offense have some wiggle room because of their ability to strike so successfully from behind?
Off the turnover, here comes Virginia. Nothing there. That was a rare unsettled chance by the Cavaliers. Schellenberger, 2 goals and a helper. Matt Moore has a 35-game goal streak. I should say 29 straight games with a goal, but without one today, a 35-game point streak. Moore against Durf, absorbs the contact, nothing on the shot. Loose in front, huge ground ball. Popped into the air, and it's scooped up by Syracuse. Kennedy, who's got a goal today. With a 7-goal lead, you can be patient now.
You can, and credit this Syracuse defense. A week ago, you know the alumni base at Syracuse and Johns Hopkins, and you lose week 1 when you finish the season before the abbreviated season in 2020 as the #1 team in the nation. People were up in arms after 1 week. Credit this defense in Leland Rogers in regards to how they've been so buttoned up in terms of putting a blanket on this Virginia playmaking offense from the second quarter on.
I can only imagine what your text chains look like. Aiken over to Schellenberger. DiPietro able to recover. Yeah, just the off-ball movement by the Syracuse defense drastically improved. Now Aiken against Clary. Over to Cormier. Another save by Porter. He's got a dozen. And he is sniffing out any hope of a Virginia comeback right now. Women's basketball doubleheader tomorrow on the ACC network. NC State and Syracuse at noon. Pitt and Georgia Tech follows at 2. College baseball follows us. Been a fun day if you've been with us from the beginning on the ACC network. It started with Syracuse Georgia Tech basketball, ACC hoops tripleheader, lacrosse, and a little baseball to cap off the night.
You did some double duty, didn't you?
That's the word. Curry to Rafis, slam dunk.
Brendan Curry has been fantastic. We're seeing some incredible passing and instincts out of 16 and White. He sees Virginia wants to help so much because Curry is a speedster and he has a short stick. They are sliding quickly to him. So he understands, okay, if you're not going to let me beat you as a Dodger, I'm going to use my eyes, I'm going to use my vision. And Rafis does a nice job of staying high enough to keep his angle when Virginia sends the help.
18-10 Syracuse, and Curry with 4 assists to go along with 2 goals. Rafis has a hat trick. Here comes Lasala. Spins, turbos, shoots, and the backup belongs to Murphy in Syracuse. Porter with a dime. Now Buttermore. Scanlon stuffed by Rode.
I thought Scanlon had Rafis with a better angle parked on the left side, and Rhodes had Scanlon's number from that spot.
Rode has made 18 saves. But it has been an offensive onslaught by Syracuse. The Orange have taken 52 shots, 36 on goal. Schellenberger, that one hit the pipe and resets the shot clock. He's doubled, DiPietro has it. And look how quick they are to release before the ride can even set up.
Yep, so the Syracuse defense, you hear a ton of talking, you hear a ton of whacking, and then when they get the ball on the defensive end, they're flying to get it on the offensive side.
John Desko's biggest complaint after last week, he said defensively the communication was just poor. He said there were a lot of mental errors, guys not getting back on defense, and even offensively, he told us the goals that Syracuse was scoring early, guys were still out of place.
I think it's a great point, too. Dordovic had some unbelievable individual efforts in that first quarter, but you never felt like the offense was in a flow in terms of getting everyone touches.
Oh, they're in a flow, and Curry has been the ringleader today. A hat trick, 4 assists.
Last Sunday, the sky was falling in central New York with the Orange. Well, it's amazing what a week can do, and some cagey veterans like Brendan Curry, who is flat out dominating Virginia. after the Army loss, people wanted to know, what's up with Brendan Curry? I'll tell you what's up with Brendan Curry. He's been the most consistent and best player for the Orange today. With versatility that reigns supreme, Virginia doesn't slide early to him around goal line extended. He beats him as a Dodger. Well, okay, you want to play him as a Dodger? He will feast as a passer. Now we've got to play him as a passer. We got to support the defense in terms of the inside because Curry will pass. Well, guess what? He counters with another incredible one-on-one goal. His versatility, Anishan, we talked about it during the break. We're seeing things from Curry. How do you match up against a guy that a lot of people consider to be an alley dodger?
He has more assists today than he did in all 5 games last year. Fomp went early. Virginia was the king of the comeback in its championship season 2 years ago. This, though, a tall order. Down 9, 6.5 to go at the Carrier Dome. And if the margin holds, it would match the largest margin of victory for Syracuse in this series. Got to go back to 1938. Another save by Porter. Who was the coach in 1938? Syracuse has only had 4. Was that Laurie Cox or was that Roy Simmons Sr.?
I believe it was Laurie Cox. And Roy Simmons Sr., and I played for his son, Roy Simmons Jr., he coached boxing. He coached football. He was Jim Brown's position coach in football and his lacrosse coach. But in the 30s, I believe that was Laurie Cox.
So 1938, I'm checking here, it's Roy Simmons Sr. who took over in 1931 and then handed the reins to Junior almost 40 years later in 1971. Isn't that amazing, though? A program with this kind of history only has had 4 head coaches. Rafis up top and another goal by the Orange. 20-10.
Hello, lacrosse world. My name is Owen Hiltz. I wear 77 for the Orange, and I absolutely sling it from the left side. I look at his plus minus tonight. He hasn't made any mistakes. Alex Rode stole a couple from Hiltz on the doorstep, but I think he's been a major difference in terms of this offense because he gives you that lefty stretch shooter, but also in transition, he's such a good passer.
Owen Hiltz entered the chat. Second game, 2 goals, 2 assists. Virginia trying to change up that X with Gable Braun. And for those of you looking for college baseball, Pitt and Florida State, that game will begin on ACC Network Extra. Fourth wall here. But a lot of lacrosse fans will get a sadistic kick out of lacrosse pushing baseball back to another network for the start of the pitch.
I didn't see this coming, man. I did not see this coming. I knew Syracuse would play hard.
Come on.
Yeah, no. I knew they'd play hard, but this is crazy.
Marl, stay with.
10 on the shot clock. Scanlon against Merle. Scanlon behind the back. And pinballs off the goalie. That's Bobby Gavin in there, the freshman from San Diego, California, who started the last 2 games when Road was available.
And played well. And I think Lars Tiffany knows now he's got a suitable backup. Gavin, a freshman from California, was a big-time surfer in San Diego.
Virginia returns to action on Wednesday. They get High Point in Charlottesville, 3 p.m. ACC Network. Quint and I will have the call for that one. High Point coming off a 27-12 loss to UNC. Played UNC tough in the first meeting this year. Lost by a couple. And High Point gave Virginia a scare last year. Where does Virginia go from here? What do you make this? Because they took out Towson with ease in the opener. Didn't play great, but handled Army. Beat Army by 5, the same Army team that beat Syracuse by 7 in the Dome last week. And a little slow getting off the bus against Loyola, but that was a game that it was a day of trip. Started slow, finished a little bit better, but 20-10? I mean, the gap between these teams isn't 10 goals.
Well, you're exactly right. But I think Virginia right now defensively reminded me of how Syracuse played defensively a week ago against Army. You didn't see the communication. They have the guys that can play one-on-one, but you need the support defense, and you need everyone on the same page in terms of communication and timing of slides. They look disoriented at times defensively, and quite frankly, when you turn on the tape, there's going to be so many coachable moments for this Cavalier defense. Offensively, look, there's just too much talent to be concerned in terms of what they're going to do moving forward. Everyone would love to have Virginia's top 6 because they have height, they have weight, they have skill, they have speed. They check every box. But when you're playing defensively the way they played tonight, your offense is going to have a tough time getting in sync. Not to mention when Syracuse is just going after the jugular in terms of their off-ball defense and then winning faceoffs. I felt like the offense never got into flow tonight.
Never had a chance to. The clearing game was a bit of a struggle in the first half, 17 of 22 for the game. The ground balls, a stat that Virginia usually dominates, -6 today. You're talking about a team that has led the country in ground balls every year since 2015. Lars's teams, in fact, have led Division I in ground balls and every year since 2015, and every year he's been in Charlottesville, they've led the country in ground balls.
Yeah, you know that the offense wasn't in sync when you hardly called Matt Moore's name, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of being a quarterback, he's a top 3, top 4 quarterback in the entire country, and it is an attack-heavy, star-studded college lacrosse category. But I put him in the same breath as some of those other big-time guys like Chris Gray and Michael Sowers. Matt Moore, we hardly called his name today because Syracuse controlled the ball, they won face-offs, and they played too much defense, Virginia.
Moore, without a goal, he had scored 1 in 29 straight, only 1 assist, and 0 for 10 shooting. And then Doc Sakin, zeros across. You very rarely see double bagels from number 6, the most prolific midfielder in the history of the great Virginia lacrosse program.
The 10 shots for Moore going 0 for is staggering, but Moore's at his best when he's shooting 6 or 7 times in a game and he has the ability to get everyone else involved because he's the best passer on this team, and it's an offensive group that doesn't have a passer at the same level as Moore. So they need Moore to be the passer more than the aggressive dodger who's going to shoot 10 times. I want him just running my offense and getting everyone touches.
Look at the juice on the Syracuse bench. A program, Paul, as you know, Quint always says before the quarterfinal round, nobody remembers a quarterfinal loser, and that's true for most programs. At Syracuse, they don't remember a lot of quarterfinal winners either. It's not even getting to championship weekend. When you've won 11, you're defined by championships. And Drake Porter said it before the season, our goal is a national championship. Anything less is a failure. They have applied the Steinbrenner doctrine to this season. That's why Rafis came back, and Dearth came back, and Trimboli came back. This was the #1 team in the country last year. Yeah.
You look at the pieces.
And you start to see what's ahead. They've got Vermont, Stony Brook, Hofstra, looking at a potential 5-0 start before going to Durham in what should be a barn burner against Duke.
Well, those two teams always have incredible matchups. The ACC is beyond loaded. It's laughable. But Porter can celebrate. The Cuse can celebrate because they answered the bell. What are you going to do from week 1 to week 2, Anish? Well, Syracuse just answered that.
In a series that has been largely defined by close games and one-goal games, this is the biggest victory for Syracuse against Virginia in the 37 meetings between these two proud programs. 20-10, the Orange take it on a Saturday night at the Carrier Dome. A statement win for Drake Porter and company. Baseball